Born and bred in Rotterdam, Robin van Persie rose through the ranks at Feyenoord before becoming one of the very best strikers of his generation. After an incredible career spanning Arsenal, Manchester United and the Dutch national team, Van Persie made sure to finish where it all began, back at Feyenoord, scoring 21 goals in 37 appearances in his final season as a professional. With his playing days behind him, Van Persie joined Feyenoord to coach under then-manager Dick Advocaat. Much like his playing career, he began to excel and moved from a supporting role to becoming the under-18s manager. In this role, Van Persie saw his first piece of silverware, a youth cup. That early success caught the eye of other Dutch clubs, and soon enough, Heerenveen came calling. In May 2024, it was announced that Van Persie would join the club at the start of the 24-25 season, but to say his time there was underwhelming would be an understatement. A crushing 9-1 defeat away to AZ Alkmaar set an unwanted club record, and with just 9 wins from 26 games, questions started to surface. Fans were baffled when, during a cup match against amateur side Quick Boys, Van Persie substituted his goalkeeper in the 81st minute, while leading 2-1. They went on to lose 3-2. Heerenveen finished 13th under Van Persie, conceding 49 goals in 26 games. The worst defensive record in the Eredivisie. Analysts pointed to his high defensive line and aggressive pressing system as key weaknesses, particularly against stronger opponents. Heerenveen's issues weren't purely defensive. Several players reportedly struggled to adapt to Van Persie's demanding high press and strict positional play, leading to lapses in concentration and costly turnovers. Critics also noted his reluctance to adjust tactics mid-match. So, eyebrows were raised when Feyenoord announced Van Persie as their new manager midway through the season, following the dismissal of Brian Priske. Despite experienced names like Mark van Bommel openly expressing interest in the job, Feyenoord went for potential, and a name adored by fans over the safer options. Inside Feyenoord, the decision to appoint Van Persie wasn't taken lightly. The board knew the risks. He was unproven at the highest level, still learning on the job. But they also knew what he represented. To the fans, Van Persie wasn't just a name. He was Rotterdam, grit, creativity, loyalty. Everything the club stood for. Van Persie immediately implemented his preferred high-pressing 4-3-3 system, relying on wingers and fullbacks to create overloads in wide areas. Even though he took over mid-season, his impact was instant. Feyenoord stabilised, winning 8 of their final 13 matches, including a statement 6-2 win away at FC Twente. A summer of change followed. Key players moved on. Igor Paixão to Marseille, David Hanko to Atletico Madrid, Anthony Malambo to Brentford, and longtime left-back Hartman to Burnley. Those departures brought in around €94 million, giving the board room to reshape the squad for their new manager. They built a formidable centre-back partnership by signing Anel Ahmedhovic from Sheffield United and Tsuyoshi Watanabe from Gent for a combined €50 million. Feyenoord followed this up by rebuilding the midfield by signing Sam Stein, who was coming off a 31-goal season for FC Twente. His new midfield partner Luciano Valente would join from FC Groningen for €6.75 million. Up front, Gonçalo Borges from Porto and Casper Tengsted from Benfica joined to bolster the attack. With his new-look team, Van Persie's Feyenoord came flying out of the blocks, winning their first 3 games, all in their home city of Rotterdam. They looked sharp and confident, but in Europe, cracks began to show. After a 2-1 win over Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce in the first leg, they collapsed 5-2 in the return match, missing out on Champions League qualification. The disappointment continued into the Europa League, with losses to Braga and Aston Villa. By late October, Feyenoord were joint top of the Eredivisie table with 25 points from 10 matches, level with PSV and clear of Ajax. They also ranked top in possession, 62%, pressing success rates 58%, and expected goal difference per match plus 1.9. Van Persie's tactical fingerprint was clear: quick vertical transitions, overlapping fullbacks, and aggressive frontline pressing. 8 wins, 1 draw and a heavy home loss to PSV meant Van Persie's side averaged an incredible 2.5 points per match. To put that in perspective, Feyenoord's title-winning side under Arne Slot averaged 2.47 points per game over the full 2022-23 season. Van Persie's early numbers, while based on a smaller sample, suggest a team playing at a championship pace. A major factor in that success? Ayase Ueda. The Japanese striker has been reborn under Van Persie, scoring 11 goals in 10 games, surpassing his entire total from last season. Ueda has thrived by exploiting half spaces between defenders, making incisive runs behind the defensive line, and timing his movements perfectly inside the box. Hallmarks of Van Persie's striker-centric approach. At the other end of the pitch, the newly formed backline would make it almost impossible for opponents to score, only conceding 9 goals in 10 games. As the season pushes on, the real tests for Robin Van Persie are still to come. Feyenoord's fixture list only gets tougher, with title rivals PSV and Ajax looming, and a grueling run of European games that will stretch the squad to its limits. Can Van Persie maintain Feyenoord's domestic form while finding consistency in Europe? Can his young, reshaped team handle the pressure of expectation, especially when the momentum shifts or the results turn against them? For now, Van Persie's project is still in its infancy, but the signs are there. A team that plays fearless football, a manager who commands respect, a club rediscovering its soul. But football, as Van Persie knows all too well, can be cruel. One bad month can undo a year of progress, and with the title race heating up, every decision, every substitution, every word in the dressing room could define his future. Whether Feyenoord lift the Eredivisie trophy or fall short, one thing is certain: Robin Van Persie's story at Feyenoord is far from over. The boy who once dreamed in the stands of the Kuip now leads from its touchline. The question is, can he turn that dream into destiny?